Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast of ZeldaDungeon.net, and when you're playing Zelda, you're just traveling along, adventuring, and suddenly you find a heart piece. Well, actually, there's two different kinds of items. There's the heart pieces, which are just like you collect 4, or in Twilight Princess's case, you collect 5 of them, and they make what's called a heart container. And the heart container is the other thing, which in some cases you find on its own, like after defeating bosses. You don't have to build it, you just get one. And that's what increases your maximum health. I'm sure you guys know this, you've played Zelda. You wouldn't really be watching this if you hadn't played Zelda. I think that these items are great collectibles because you just go all the way around and you collect all kinds of items, and among them are heart pieces, and the heart pieces are the item that you collect the most in the game, and there's just so many of them. It adds so much to the game, so much to like all the things you have to get. Without them, there wouldn't be very much side material to go on. And Twilight Princess was even greater in this regard because it had 5 pieces to make a heart container, so there's a lot of more heart pieces, although I think they were a little easier to get, which might be more boring. I don't know. I think the heart pieces are great for like character progression because like in other games you have to actually level up, like you have to get experience points and level up and stuff, and it's a lot more like that. But I think it's great how in Zelda you have this character progression system that doesn't actually require you to get points or whatever. You just get these heart pieces and these other items to upgrade your stuff. You get the upgrades. You don't have to level up. I don't know. It's just interesting how they have a non-level up based system. I like that. And even if there are some games where the enemies I think one problem is that some games there's so many hearts, that you get so many heart containers that when you're fighting enemies, they just, even late in the game, they don't do enough damage to you it's ridiculous. You'll never deplete your hearts. And I think that's what's great about 3 heart challenges and why most of the Zelda games do and should make it possible for you to not actually get any heart containers, so you can go through the whole game with just 3 hearts and make it more challenging. And difficulty stuff like that, because in some of the games, even with the 3 heart challenge, it's not that hard because the enemies hardly do any damage. Twilight Princess is a good example of this because most of the enemies cannot do more than like 1/4 of a heart. I've actually seen very few cases of an enemy being able to do a heart's worth of damage. Even Ganondorf can do very little damage to you. It's ridiculous. So yeah, the heart pieces and containers are great collectibles and items, but not all is well in Hyrule. What are the heart pieces exactly, or the heart containers? What are they? You find them all over the place. I mean, you could just be adventuring and you'll randomly find them, or they're given to you by some random stranger. And you also get them from like bosses. And most bosses will drop them. Sometimes it comes from a chest, appears after you defeat the boss, or sometimes it just comes out of the boss. Okay, quit that. I mean, what does that mean? It comes out of the boss. Is it its actual heart? I had this one theory about it, is that it's more like the boss's life force, or his energy, rather than his actual heart beating out of his chest. Link, he defeats all these bosses, and he actually gains their power or their strength. Sort of like Highlander. There can be only one! Or alternatively, it could really just represent Link's hardship and his progression of skill and experience as he defeats more enemies. Or it might just be a gameplay thing. But I think ultimately there was no real reason for the bosses to give you heart pieces, or heart containers. They just had them come out of the boss for the sake of animation or whatever. It doesn't mean much of anything. Another odd thing is Yeto and Yetta here, because when they had this moment, there were literally hearts coming out of them. And it weren't heart containers, but it was still the same basic principle. These items you could pick up and get health. It's the same with Link's fangirls in the Star minigame. They dropped hearts. So does this mean that the hearts are actually love hearts? I mean, what about the 3rd dungeon on Ocarina of Time, Lord Jabu Jabu's belly, with Ruto? Ruto falls, in love with Link, or gets smitten with him, and she gives him the, the Zora's Sapphire, the stone. But she doesn't give him the heart. He gets that from Baronade. Okay, quit that. So, what does that mean about. about Baronade and Link's relationship. Okay. I, and what about all the other bosses? Zelda just got a lot creepier. You know, this is a good case to say that the Zelda series should be rated mature from now on. Anyway, I think the hearts and stuff, the heart pieces, containers, whatever, great collectibles. They really enhanced the game, had a lot of depth, a lot of things to do. They might be a little weird, but you know, that's a video game. There are video games where you collect extra lives by collecting your own severed head. So, you know, it's not like it's that unusual for there to be a weird, unexplainable item. So, yeah, it was better in Twilight Princess where you could add, there was even more collectibles. And it's also, there's more heart pieces to collect, more heart pieces to collect in games where there are less bosses, because the bosses always give you a full container. But, you know, ultimately it doesn't matter a whole lot. I think Twilight Princess had a lot of bosses, but it offset that by having the 5 heart pieces. I think that's an interesting thing that maybe they should do again. Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks are sort of the opposite in that there are no heart pieces, there's only containers, and you just collect the container right off the bat. But so they're more like less than collectibles than like big rewards. But you know, that was okay in that game because they had a replacement collectible that was the the stones of the 3 spirits. So you know, or the pearls or whatever you hold them. But basically that offset it, so it was a different kind of collectible. It just wasn't heart pieces or containers. So yeah. Do you guys like heart pieces or containers? I mean, I'm sure you do, but I mean, like, do you think about them at all, or is it just, you know, ooh, I got more health? You can tell me in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.